Ken wasn't just a prolific criminal. He was also a prolific lech, rumored to have fathered more than 10 different children with around 4 or 5 different women.
All they did back in the day was fuck. This is insane, bruh.
And proposed a trade. Girl for girl, McElroy supposedly said.
Wow.
When the foster asked him what he meant by that, Ken explained that he knew the name of their biological daughter, that he knew her school and the bus route she took to it. If he could get his girl back safe, they could get their girl back safe too. Trina was back living with Ken in a matter of days.
Bruh, somebody shoot this! Man, what type of thought process did these people back in the day have, bruh? Oh my God, look at him. Look at him, that's a beautiful gun. That's a beautiful, what is he saying? Oh, he's saying he'll kill us all. Huh. Well, that's pretty interesting. Don't you think, Sally? Yes, I would actually like an ice cream so like, bro, what the And I'm back with another video, man. BryceDaBadger back with another one for you. But tonight, wherever you at, I got the day an entire town committed murder? Excuse me? By Saturn Soul. Original video is in the description, bro. What are you talking about? An entire town committed murder. Let's get into it.
In northwestern Missouri, there is a small, unassuming town, much like many others that dot the highways of the central United States. Established in 1840, it is the home of St. Oswald's, one of the oldest Protestant Episcopal churches in the country. But other than that, there's not much to the place, and it would be easy to just drive through the one-stoplight town without so much as a second glance. But in actual fact, the main drag of that small Missouri town was the site of one of the most shocking and sensationalized crimes in American history. And its name is one that is now associated with a murky web of revenge, murder, lies, and intimidation.
Excuse me?
Skidmore.
For a populace of under 300 people, you talking about jealousy, murder? Man, what is this production? I'm intrigued. We're in
the crime that made
Missouri,
Skidmore famous occurred in July of 1981. But to properly tell the town's story, we have to go all the way back to June 1st of 1934, the day when a baby boy by the name of Ken Rex McElroy was brought into the world.
Okay.
Ken and his 15 brothers and sisters grew up in a...
Damn, bro, this is what I'm talking about, bro. But back in the day, bro, they ain't did nothing but fuck. That's all they had to do, huh? That's the only thing they had to do is just fuck. Like, damn, rabbits.
Small rundown house
15
just
brothers
outside of Skidmore,
sisters.
The son of a poor tenant farming couple named Tony and Mabel.
Poor?
For many years, they had traveled back and forth between the Ozarks and Kansas City, depending on where the work was. But after a while, they tired of the exhaustive wandering lifestyle and settled in Nottoway County. Ken's upbringing was troubled to say the least, and by the time he was 15, he had dropped out of the 8th grade to become a small-time thief and cattle rustler. And so began a criminal rampage that would last the better part of 20 years, with Ken allegedly dabbling in the theft of grain, gasoline, alcohol, antiques, and livestock. As a result of his criminality, Ken was arrested and charged on a whopping 21 occasions, but managed to dodge every conviction the law threw at him through a combination of shrewd practices and witness intimidation. Skidmore residents frequently complained that Ken would stalk those that sought to testify against him, parking outside their homes in a flagrant and menacing display. But
should have shot that nigga.
Ken wasn't just a prolific criminal. He was also a prolific lech, rumored to have fathered more than 10 different children with around 4 or 5 different women.
All they did back in the day was fuck. This is insane, bruh.
And it's this aspect of Ken's character that reveals him as not simply some small-town rascal with sticky fingers, but a deeply wicked and monstrous predator. Because horrifyingly, When Ken met his wife, Trina McLeod, in the late 1950s, she was just 12 years of age.
Whoa!
For obvious reasons, Trina's family despised Ken and warned him to leave their daughter alone. Ken responded by driving over to the family home and executing their beloved foxhound with a
Man, shoot the shit out this bitch ass nigga, bro. What is we talking about? Hell no.
Single shell from his 12-gauge shotgun. When Trina's family held firm and attempted to keep their daughter safely out of Ken's reaches, he doubled down and set fire to their house in the middle of the night.
Bro, I wish my light was not broke, bro. I wish it was working, bro. That's why my cam ain't on. I wish y'all could see my face, bro. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Y'all gonna let this nigga terrorize y'all continuously, man? I'm taking the 12 gauge to his scully. Bloom! He's dead, bro. What the fuck is we talking about?
Thankfully, Trina's family survived the arson attack, but they couldn't take anymore. They finally relented and allowed Ken to date their underage daughter. Not long after, Trina came home and announced she would be dropping out of school. She was pregnant with Ken's child.
Man, bruh.
A shotgun wedding was held soon after. After the child was born, Trina was so afraid of her new husband that she attempted to escape to her parents' house. Ken just showed up at their door, racked his shotgun, and told them that if he wasn't reunited with his wife, the dead dog in the arson attack would look like child's play.
I'm sorry, did they not have a gun or something?
When Trina's parents once again surrendered her to Ken, he shot the house up anyway.
Bro. This is one of the most, not even menacing, this is just one of the most crazy niggas I've heard of in just citizen history. It's just a guy. It's just a dude. It's just a crazy man.
Ken was separated from Trina all over again in 1973 when he was arrested for arson and assault. And for a man with no visible sign of income, he was able to get his hands on the $2,500 bail cash very, very quickly. Meanwhile, while Ken was locked up, Trina and the baby were placed in a foster home over in Maryville, just 14 miles away. The authorities were confident that they were finally safe from Ken's clutches, but somehow he tracked them down anyway.
Why are the authorities not arresting the parents? Number one. Number two, why are the authorities not even just like patrolling the area, making sure this freakazoid bitch ass nigga don't come over and start some shit again?
The Foster family were puzzled to see a man camped outside their home in his car and reported that he just stared at their house all day until they finally went out to talk to him. But what he had to say absolutely horrified them. The man said his name was Ken Rex McElroy, and that the woman and child in their care were his. He told them that he could just walk up to their house, kill them both, and then walk out with what was his. Yet he claimed to be a reasonable man and proposed a trade. Girl for girl, McElroy supposedly said.
Wow.
When the foster asked him what he meant by that, Ken explained that he knew the name of their biological daughter, that he knew her school and the bus route she took to it. If he could get his girl back safe, they could get their girl back safe too. Trina was back living with Ken in a matter of days.
Bruh, somebody shoot this nigga!
The next few years were pretty quiet, evidence that Ken was trying to keep a low profile to avoid Trina and his child being taken away again. But on July 27, 1976, a farmer named Romaine Henry heard gunshots echoing around his property. He tracked down the source of the gunfire in his tractor, only to find a half-drunk Ken Rex partaking in some target practice with his 12-gauge. Romaine asked Ken Rex just what he thought he was doing, never once believing that Ken had it in him to turn the gun on a human being. But he was wrong. Ken turned on the spot, sized Romaine up, then let off a round of buckshot right at the cab of his tractor. The spray of lead chunks burst Romaine's belly open like a piñata.
Damn.
And as Ken left him bleeding to death and far from a telephone, Romaine was certain he was about to die. But by some miracle, a passing driver noticed the mortally wounded farmer slumped in his tractor seat and rushed to call the EMTs. Against all odds, Romaine Henry survived the attack, and despite Ken Rex denying he was even at the scene, he was arrested and charged with assault with attempt to kill.
No, that's called attempted murder. When the fuck did that change? Please tell me when that, what did they need to see so bad that was just now attempted murder? They talking about assault with some bullshit added on. Man, no, that's just straight attempted murder, nigga.
Everyone
Put
in
that
town
nigga
knew
in
he was
jail.
guilty.
Big jail. Not jail, prison. Matter of fact, dirt. Put him under the dirt. Alive. Bury him.
Yet the lack of actual eyewitnesses meant further evidence would have to be gathered in order to properly seek a conviction. Romaine Henry later said that once he had recovered from his wounds and been discharged from the hospital, Ken Rex McElroy camped outside his home with a shotgun on his dash for 3 months. He stayed there every night, right up until the day of his trial. When Ken unveiled an unexpected alibi, 2 raccoon hunters he'd frightened into testifying on his behalf. What's more, Ken had somehow found the money to hire one of Kansas City's sleaziest but most accomplished defense attorneys, who discovered that Romaine had lied about a petty theft conviction from 30 years prior.
Hey, say, bro, who the fuck is this nigga, Ken, bro? Who is this nigga, Judge Holden?
To the shock and horror of everyone in Skidmore, the jury found McElroy not guilty, and he walked free that same day. McElroy's reign of terror continued for 5 more years, and the patience of Skidmore's residents began to reach breaking point.
I bet
One
so.
incident saw Ken respond to an accusation of theft by driving into town with a World War II-era semi-automatic rifle. In front of a small crowd of gathered townsfolk, Ken attached a bayonet to the end of the rifle and threatened to butcher the next person who dared accuse his family of stealing.
So nobody in this town has a fucking gun. That's what you telling me. Because lo and behold, you let anybody of today tell it, oh, let a nigga try anything. They gonna take out they AR-15. They gonna take out they Glock. They gonna take out they Smith and Wesson. They gonna take out they this, that, and the third. Man, bro, y'all ain't gonna do shit, obviously, because y'all was never doing anything. Y'all let a one man with a damn gun terrorize your fuck ass town. And this is foolish. He got one gun. He can aim in one direction. Somebody kill him.
This was the straw that broke the camel's back. Perhaps it was seeing that bayonet, something purely made for war, that made the citizens of Skidmore realize that something had to be done about Ken Rex McElroy.
Oh yeah, because if you take the knife off that bitch and he just swinging around an AR, man, nobody cares. Nobody care about this crazy guy. He probably ain't even got bullets in his gun. Like who, man, what type of thought process did these people back in the day have, bro? Oh my God, look at him. Look at him, that's a beautiful gun. That's a beautiful, what is he saying? Oh, he's saying he'll kill us all. Huh. Well, that's pretty interesting. Don't you think, Sally? Yes, I would actually like an ice cream. So, like, bro, what the? You just gonna keep living life while this nigga outside with a gun aiming at any and everybody? Revenge. I ain't even gonna try. My voice cracked.
On the morning of July 10th, 1981, a handful of townspeople gathered in Skidmore's Legion Hall to decide how to protect themselves from McElroy once and for all. Only right as this meeting is going on, who should roll down Main Street and park up in front of the small D&G Tavern but Ken Rex himself? Ken got out of his truck with his wife Trina, walked into the D&G, then sat smugly at a table while he ordered a beer. He was smug because he wasn't supposed to be there. The townspeople had warned him to keep away from Skidmore until the result of his court appeal, so Ken being there that day was an insult, an affront.
Right.
And when word that Ken Rex was in town finally reached the Legion Hall, a chain of events was set in motion that could never be undone. By all accounts, Skidmore Sheriff Daniel Estes was everything you could wish for in a small-town police officer. He was a well-liked, well-respected Vietnam veteran who actually cared about the community and justice.
Shout out to bro.
So when Sheriff Estes is asked about what happened that morning, there's every reason to believe he's telling the truth. And according to him, when the Legion Hall meeting heard McElroy was in town and suggested confronting him, he strongly advised them not to do so. He instead suggested they form some kind of neighborhood watch program, one that could liaise with local police to ensure Ken's behavior was kept in track. But then, despite being faced with a potentially violent confrontation with a suspected attempted murderer, Sheriff Estes got into his police cruiser and drove out of town. Estes insists he was on an important police business, but others have suggested this was him giving the green light for what was to occur.
Oh.
With Skidmore's only sheriff now gone, those gathered in the Legion Hall gathered up their things and headed over to the D&G, where Ken Rex McElroy was still sat, sipping at the neck of a beer bottle. There was no immediate confrontation. Instead, the D&G began to slowly fill with customers, all keeping to themselves, all avoiding eye contact with the man who terrorized them for almost 30 years.
30?
Ken must have felt a smug satisfaction that morning.
I don't know
There
why.
he was, nursing a cold one,
That man's
bold
stupid as
brass,
hell.
and no one had a thing to say about it.
Soon as you show up, a whole bunch more people start showing up. Nigga, I'm looking around like, did y'all all have the same idea at the same time? Ain't no way.
Ken finished his beer, took Trina by the arm, and walked her from the bar. But as he and his wife got into their truck, they noticed that many of the bar's occupants seemed to be leaving with them. In fact, they lined up behind Ken's truck, blocking him in as they stared him down. Then as Ken started...
I don't know, bro. The way this nigga mind work, I wouldn't stand behind this nigga truck, bro. That's just me, though. That's just me.
up his truck, a single shot rang out, smashing through the rear glass window of his truck and grazing the flesh of his neck. Ken must have let out a scream.
So somebody
something
bitch
to
ass
alert
did have a
those
gun.
gathered behind him that the shot hadn't put him down,
There's just pussy.
because what followed was a torrent of highly accurate gunfire that
Damn.
riddled McElroy, but left his wife unscathed.
Did his ass like Bonnie and Clyde,
Trina
but Bonnie
climbed
was
out of the
okay.
car, trembling and crying and stumbling towards the men who shot her husband to pieces. You killed him,
Yes.
she wailed, eyes wide with shock and disbelief.
You're welcome.
We did, one of them replied. Now get out of here before we kill you too.
Oh.
As you can imagine, Ken was hit several times, but the bullets that killed him were fired from one center-fire rifle and one .22 rimfire rifle. These are long rifles.
So 2 people.
A person can't just brandish one and have it gone unnoticed. But out of 46 potential witnesses, including Trina McElroy, not a single person was able to identify those that had fired their weapons that day.
Of course not.
And
I'm
it's also
blind.
interesting to note that again, out of almost 50 people who'd heard or seen the shooting, not a single one called an ambulance.
Nope.
It was clear
Yeah,
from the
I'm
get-go
blind.
that a homicide investigation conducted by local law enforcement
I'm blind. I'm
was
deaf.
going
I don't
to
know
be
what happened, bro.
problematic for a number of reasons.
Well, we found your footprints.
As
Yeah,
a result,
that's
the
okay.
case was
I
quickly
still don't
handed
know what
over
happened.
to the state police, who promised a swift and unbiased resolution to Ken's killing. But they too came back empty-handed, citing tight-lipped townsfolk and a distinct air of vigilante intimidation. One Skidmore resident even brazenly told investigators that, although he didn't witness the incident, McElroy needed killing. 3 years after Ken's murder, with police having made no progress in catching his killer, Trina McElroy filed a $5 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore and a man named Del Clement. Trina accused
rip that
Del of
shit up.
committing, and if not masterminding, what she described as the lynching of her husband, an innocent man who was murdered on a hunch by cowards who
Man.
wouldn't own up to it.
Rip that piece of paper up and go on about our day.
Skidmore Town Council met with Trina, who agreed to an out-of-court settlement of $17,600, but on the condition that the payment wouldn't imply guilt towards any party. Trina took the money and moved to Lebanon, Missouri, where she tried to leave a traumatic part of her life behind, while Skidmore residents were quick to assure outsiders that the settlement was made to avoid any costly legal fees that defending the accusation would incur.
Sure.
Others point to it as a clear sign of guilt. 17 grand to buy a man's life. 17 grand to make it all go away.
That's too much for his life.
It's almost been 40 years exactly since Ken Rex McElroy was executed by neighbors that he'd known all his life, and not a single person has been charged, tried, or convicted of his murder. What Ken Rex put the people of Skidmore through could frankly be described as hellish. He was violent, volatile, and he preyed on children. And when the once good and honest folks of Skidmore asked the law to protect them, the law failed them spectacularly on more than 20 different occasions.
Insane.
That's a terrifying concept. I think we can all agree. It sounds like some kind of Kafkaesque nightmare detailing a crushingly inept state bureaucracy that allows monstrous crimes to go unpunished. But we could argue that there's another read of the McElroy murder, one that's considerably more frightening. And that's that the people around us, those we've known all our lives, could simply turn around and murder us in broad daylight before erecting a wall of silence so thick that it can enable a man to get away with murder.
Yeah, but they'd have to have a reason to do that, you know what I mean? And this guy, it was definitely more, way more than a reason to just shut the fuck up and light this nigga ass up with the fury of God.
We're not held accountable by the law, we're held accountable by those around us. And either that's a very reassuring thought, or a distinctly terrifying one.
Great video by Saturn Soul, man. Great video. First video that I checked out. Very, very great. Excellent hot production, you know what I mean? Fuck this nigga Ken, bro. Fuck Ken. I don't know what the hell they was doing, what they was talking about. Look, bro, this nigga is a monster. And I'm glad they lit his ass up and showed him nothing but straight empty cartridges of anger from the past 30 years of bullshit he put his town through. Man, if you like the video, subscribe if you fuck with the vibe. And I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one, bro. Peace.